From CareCredit, it's Care Experts, a podcast where we dive deep into the health and wellness industry with the professionals that make it happen. I'm Erin Treloar. Let's be real, figuring out what to eat can be overwhelming. Between trendy diets and conflicting advice and those days when, honestly, convenience just wins, it's hard to know what's actually good for you. That's why I'm so excited about today's episode. We're cutting through the noise and getting into what really works when it comes to nutrition. And who better to help us with that than Joe Holder? He's a Nike master trainer, GQ fitness columnist, masterclass instructor, and the founder of the Ocho system, which brings together fitness, wellness, and mindset for a sustainable approach to health. He's worked with top athletes and celebrities, but what he really loves is helping everyday people fuel their bodies for energy, performance, and long-term health without making it so complicated. Joe, we're so excited to have you here on the Care Experts podcast to talk all about nutrition and how it can support longevity, mood, well-being.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have some general philosophies around nourishing our bodies and nutrition that would be helpful?
Yeah, I'm a big believer, again, in circadian rhythm eating. I think regularity, meal timing, there's a reason why when you eat at the same time every day, you get hungry around the same time every day, right? So your body's preparing for that intake of food.
Yes.
And that consistency of those meal timings goes a long way into being able to your body have a little bit more resilience. And even when you need to step outside of it, your body can still handle it, but your body likes regularity. So that goes for both sleep and meal times. The other side of it is, I think hydration is big, being able to utilize different teas, juices and hydrating for like just that natural energy in the body. I'm a big believer in nourishing. So I look at like nutrient density. That's key to me. And then reducing what are essentially, ultra processed foods, which confuse a lot of people. All foods gotta have to go through some processing, some better than others.
Yes.
But the thing about it is like for more often than not, am I eating a diet that they're foods that I have to prepare or have just been moderately prepared by other people that I consume for better results versus intense packaged foods, highly palatable foods that are filled with salt, sugar, fat, that type of thing. I think of like a whole food diet. And then from there, it's deciding, what are the other, packaged foods I can add in, especially when I'm crunched for time, and then paying more attention to how these specific foods kind of impact me. So for instance, there's a lot of people in the game who like rail against anti-nutrients or whatever. But some people are perfectly fine with being able to eat, say, oatmeal, which might have phytates or whatever. It's on both sides of the fence there, or beans or pulses or that type of thing. So easiest way, I know people try to rail against the American food pyramid. Instead of looking at servings, look at what it says to put in there, right?
Okay.
And most of those foods are going to be healthy, right? So are health promoting.
Yes.
Depending upon the individual. So you have typically fruits and vegetables, right? Then you have lean meats and proteins, right? Then you might have higher fats and proteins, right? Then you might have some dairy, and you might have some grains, that type of thing. So if I look within those food groups, then I would say to myself, what are the goals that I have, right? And then these foods that I eat, how do they make me feel?
Right.
Right? So take, for instance, whatever, kale. It was the belle of the ball. Then you have other people within the carnivore industry saying, never eat this thing. It's going to destroy your stomach, right? So the thought process is, I can't think of that food as health. Any food is healthy. I think of the food as nutrient dense and can it promote health as it relates to me. So if I'm allergic to a food that is considered healthy, but it's really just nutrient dense, if I eat it, it won't work for me. So why would I eat that food?
Yes.
So I just think of this thought process that we have of whole foods that exist within this food pyramid or plate, however you want to describe it. And then I think of the impact that they will have on me from a metabolic or personal health promoting standpoint. And then it becomes a simplistic experimentation of self. And that's how I've kind of developed my eating philosophy.
Oh, I'm so aligned with this. A number of the things that you're mentioning in the food pyramid, if not all of them, are all single food, single nutrient items.
Yes.
And I think when we look at those items versus processed foods, some processed foods. In many of the processed foods, when we look on the back label, there are multiple ingredients.
Yes.
And so even just simply noticing how many single ingredient foods are you consuming throughout the day, and how are those making you feel?
Yeah. And then preparing them for the most part yourself so it can maintain its kind of nutrient profile.
Yeah.
So yeah, talking about the single ingredient components, and a lot of foods have a lot of preservatives, additives, gums, chemicals that we don't fully know how it impacts the human body.
Yes.
So the thought process is err on the side of caution. If we don't fully know how it's going to impact the human body, right, then kind of go to the things that we know will be a little bit more beneficial. So it's, everybody's on the whole seed oil things right now. It's like, I get it. Cool. We'll learn more about it as it goes on. But really what we're talking about is, as we know for a long time, it's probably not the healthiest to eat double fried foods or eat foods that have been fried in oils that have been sitting around for a very long time and are being reused. So you don't need to get lost in the debate. It's simply thinking that, oh, you're right, that probably doesn't make the most sense. So goes back to single ingredient foods and kind of teaching people to raise their health literacy through, can they control more meals than they can't throughout the day?
Right.
And if I can, the ones that I will be eating for the most part, hopefully will be health promoting. That's how I look at it. 2 out of 3 meals for me a day have to be under my control and are foods that will be health promoting. And then if I got to do other stuff just because I'm a busy guy, I get it and I won't feel bad about it.
That was going to be my next question. Does Joe ever have processed foods?
Yeah.
And if yes, what are you leaning towards? What are you grabbing?
I mean, sometimes things are just for pleasure. Like I love apple pie vanilla ice cream. Yes.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
So happy to hear it. That
and
you
my
will
friends,
have
I'll be out with them. So my real friends don't ask me, but like,
Yeah.
The ones that are a couple of degrees of separation and like, oh my God, I can't believe you're eating a French fry. You're eating this, you're eating that. The body is not fragile, right? So if you learn how to adapt and learn for the most part to eat nutrient dense foods, you will have an improved metabolism. But outside of pure pleasure, basically then what I think about is when I travel a lot. So I always go on Google Maps before I land to places to understand where are places that I could go. If it's packaged foods for the most part, I'm probably going to have a protein bar or this or that. But for me, I just think of my snacks as smaller meals, I guess. But yeah, I mean, what I do go for processed foods is for pleasure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Because
okay.
otherwise I'm just going to eat well. But like, I want it to be tasty. Like, I don't want a protein cookie. I want a real cookie. You know what I
think
mean?
that's so important though, to have a bit of balance and to give yourself the freedom to allow food to be pleasurable, to allow it to be a moment of connection, but then perhaps primarily serving your body and your life. Essentially nourishing.
I don't like to say food like it's fuel because I think that dehumanizes us now a little bit. I used to say it. I've changed my ideas. I think I've become a little, as I've aged, it's nourishment. You know what I mean? It's like I'm putting love into this food. I guess a little bit more of a different standpoint, but this food, there was a funny tweet I saw the other day, which is basically like our bodies we're just made of the groceries we eat. It was like a joke, you know what I mean? But in a way, it's kind of real. And like the ability that we get to nourish ourselves is crazy. And then you rebuild yourself through these things that you're ingesting, which is fascinating to me. It's like your body's constantly remodeling based upon external stimuli.
Yes.
Whether that's food, whether that's exercise, whether that's, of course, thoughts and that type of thing. And if you could remodel yourself through activities and behaviors that are under your own accord, I look at it then like art. So for me, I'm not getting lost in food and eating over this thought process of like, food is fuel. I can only eat the things that are good for you. You're like, oh, wow, like this plate's a canvas. And I'm creating something and my body is creating itself in real time as I experience life itself. And can I make the experience of life itself a little bit better due to what I'm eating? And to me, that's fun. I'm like, to me, the kitchen is like my design studio. Like I enjoy that. And I've changed the way I think about that. And yeah, it's like an exploration of self.
It's beautiful, and it feels so much more expansive
Yeah.
than I think what a lot of people imagine when they think of trying to eat healthier or trying to lose weight or trying to gain muscle, which can become very clinical in a way. So I love this idea of really exploring your body, noticing what makes you feel good, what gives you energy, what's giving you a stomach ache or causing you to break out, and then playing around with it, having fun with it, and looking at it as more of a creative endeavor.
I think both through our food and exercise, those are kind of a couple of moments still in our lives we get to be kids. Everything else is so serious and made about productivity culture and this and that. And like, are those small moments we can bring back joy into? When you learned a new recipe to cook, you feeling proud. You can share that with your significant other. You're in a grocery store and like in wonderment because, wow, all this food is here. And I can decide what to get and have fun with this. That's easily accessible to me, and I'm blessed to be able to have these choices. Instead of just reducing it to just calories or this or that, you know, it's like, nah.
No fun in that. I've played that game, and it feels very limiting. And what I think we want for everybody who's listening to the Care Experts podcast is to feel more vibrant, more energized, more expansive, and more themselves in their life. If somebody feels overwhelmed by food and where to even start on this journey, where would you begin? What are you shopping for at the grocery store?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way to start, if I had to go about it, is okay. What are the meals that are going to be able to be under my control, right? So I need to essentially learn how to make, for most people, breakfast and dinner, right? So then I say, okay, what are foods that I know I might like to eat or easy recipes, right? And then I say, okay, I don't have time. I don't want anything I have to cook longer than 45 or 30 minutes.
Yes.
And then I say, okay, this week I'm going to learn 3 recipes to make for breakfast, 3 recipes to learn for dinner. And then I say, okay, I'm going to go on Pinterest or New York Times recipes, and I'm going to have all this presented to me, and I'm going to have fun with this in very simple ways. And then I'm going to learn the flavor profiles that I like in this different type of thing. Then you think of, can I have nutrient-dense food? So it's simple. It's fruits, right?
Yes.
Fruits, vegetables, and especially with the dark leafy greens. Then you think about grains that are easy for you to absorb. Like for me, I'm a big white rice guy. Like brown rice doesn't really sit well with me, or root vegetables, that type of thing, lean proteins. And then think about the best ways to prepare it that would be beneficial for you, right? So when you're cooking vegetables, steaming and blanching will probably be better than excessively overcooking it, that type of thing, right? If you want to think about a light bake of the chicken or fish or whatever you're making instead of pan frying all the time, that type of thing. And then it's just learning, it's just skill attainment. But it's like anything, you're not going to perfect it all at once. But yeah, it's just think of that, learn a little bit more, and then build from there, and really don't get lost in like the calorie counting, in my opinion. I think that's a fool's game.
I know when I went through a season of tracking calories, at first it felt like control, like, oh, I'm doing a good job by hitting this amount. But I wasn't aware or paying attention at all to the micronutrients that I was getting. And so it was really about hitting this number. And I also wasn't at all aware of how I was feeling on this calorie deficit, which was low energy, uninspired, not able to concentrate in school. And so I think whenever you're playing around with nutrition and nourishment, you can't only be looking at these metrics. You also have to keep turning inward to notice, how am I feeling in this process and in this experience?
And you alluded to something there when you talked about also how you're feeling, but also connecting that to caloric deficit. So a lot of people think it's about caloric deficit, but it's really a concept called energy flux, which is a little bit different. Basically, I can eat a lot of food and still be on a caloric deficit. Well, so then the thought process that people thought about is it really about being on a caloric deficit, or is it really about having energy turn over in my body after I nourish it? So to make this clear, basically what people saw with people who had lost weight after they had been on excessively caloric deficits, they wanted to see what was the easiest way to maintain that weight loss. It wasn't to continue being on a stark caloric deficit. It was to increase energy flux, which is simply that I actually wanted to get a relative amount more food into my system and then just turn that over with activity in the right amounts. So energy flux is a thought process that I nourish the body.
Yes.
It's going to naturally improve my energy levels. I just make sure I do enough activity, not necessarily more or a lot or excessive while restricting my food, but essentially I'm consistently turning over that energy. And that's what maintained health and well-being. And then that's what's exceedingly vital. So especially for trained a lot of models, but that was huge, like for my women clients, but even men have body dysmorphia in a different way. It's like, hey, nourish yourself, then we'll move enough. And as that energy flows through the system, this promotes well-being.
Yes.
And that's kind of what's missing. So it's not eat a little, exercise a lot. That's actually detrimental for the metabolic systems in the body.
I love that so much. And I'm so happy to hear that that's what you're promoting. This also goes so beautifully with our other Care Experts podcast episode on movement snacks and exercise snacks. So the two pair so beautifully together. Everyone needs to take a listen to that other one as well. What is Joe eating in a day? Walk us through like a standard day. I know you travel a lot. You have a lot going on. You're always moving. So what do you eat?
I talk about this with my brothers a lot. Like I'm one of 7 and I don't know what my family did, but it's like, it's easy for us to maintain muscle mass without always excessively eating. And I guess one of the thought processes, of course, is making sure you have enough protein to be able to do that. But our bodies are very efficient. So my thought process is like continuing to feed that efficiency. But I'm very big into digestion. So when I wake up, I don't really eat immediately. I make a tea, I drink a lot of water. I start basically with a ginger tea, a little bit of movement. Then I have some fresh pressed juice. Like I make my own juice recipe. So for me, it's like celery, apple, little lemon, ginger, cucumber. And then I have some like a half a piece of fruit because I think chewing itself stimulates digestion in easy ways. So 2 things happen there. Movement kind of stimulates, of course, peristalsis, natural awakening of the digestive system, as well as the chewing and then the hydration because I've essentially been asleep for a long time. And then from there, that's when I'll sit down and kind of have my breakfast. So I'll make some like power oats. Like I usually make oatmeal, put some almond protein in there, top with like hemp seeds, probably some apples, a little maple syrup, blueberries, walnuts, that type of thing. And then maybe if I'm having eggs that week, I'll have a side or 2 of eggs. And then I'll just have lunch. Like for me, lunch, I'll probably make some sort of curry bowl, I guess. I'm a big guy, like rice, vegetables. And then I might have a snack. I don't know what maybe it'll be like a yogurt or some fruit or something like that. And then at lunch, or dinner, I'm kind of flexitarian. So that's where I have like my fish or kind of that lean cut of whatever protein that's there with the vegetables and all that. But it just keeps me charged up consistently. And then I have those, movement breaks or formalized exercise. And for me, it goes a long way. So I guess to make it simple, I'll probably have 3 square meals, 1 juice, 1 protein shake, and then 2 of those tea mixes.
Yes.
And that kind of keeps me going.
Amazing. I mean, it sounds very flexible, and yet you have structure in that you're eating every couple of hours. You're kind of constantly fueling your body, bringing in beautiful whole nutrients, a lot of single ingredient items in your meals mixed together. Yeah. Okay, we're going to go to our Ask Me Anything questions, but I would be remiss. I think a lot of people who clicked on this episode are most likely feeling at some level uncomfortable in their body and are wanting to, whether it's lose weight, gain muscle, improve their strength, improve the way that they feel in their body.
Yes.
Do you believe, and have you seen with the individuals that you work with, if people follow this protocol, this philosophy, they can start to notice these changes? Like, will people lose weight, or do they need to be more focused on the calorie counting and all that?
Again, in the beginning, calorie counting, in my opinion, is similar to BMI, which is a useful screening tool that allows you to learn a little bit more about why things are categorized the way that they are.
Right.
But do not get so myopically focused in the calorie count that it messes with you and essentially gives you like an orthorexia or a low-grade eating disorder, which unfortunately is very prevalent right now in health and wellness culture. So utilize calories because that is one thing on a nutrition label that you can standardize and then input to then see the reality of what you're actually eating. Because unfortunately, if you look at self-reported dietary intakes, everybody often underreports their caloric intake. So you can utilize calorie counting to just have a key data point that is relatively objective, but is not the end all be all.
It's not the lifestyle. We're not doing this forever.
Yeah. So then just think of, okay, consistent feeding times, not eating too close to bedtime. If you do need to eat closer to bedtime, have something that's probably a little bit more protein rich. And then from there, think about whole foods, as you alluded to. Can I cook them? How does the cooking impact the nutrient density or absorption of those nutrients with my food? Then how does that food make me feel? And then give my body time to basically assimilate those foods to then give me feedback for how it's making me feel.
Yes.
And one thing that I will say, that there's a term that is coined, essentially toxic hunger, which is when you start to diet, your body's going to freak out. And when you start to eat healthier, nutrient dense, your body's going to freak out.
Yes.
And you might be a little bit irritable. You might be exceedingly hungry. You're like, rah, 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 rah. The thought process behind this is a theory essentially called toxic hunger, which is that when you eat a lot of essentially highly processed foods, your body's in a chronically inflamed state. Then when you change to a more nutrient dense diet, your body is working through some of those different metabolites that it now needs to release or improve its digestion, etc. So your body is essentially adapting.
Okay.
And so when you are switching to more of a nutrient dense diet, just give it a little bit of time to work through that initial shock or alarm reaction. It's often the same with exercise. So be patient is the key.
So key. And know that discomfort is you leaving your comfort zone. And the comfort zone that you've gotten into is what's keeping you stuck where you are. So that discomfort, just know that you're pushing through into something really good and that it's okay. We got to get comfortable in the uncomfortable sometimes if we want to grow and change and learn.
Then you expand your comfort zone, and then I think you become more of an intuitive eater, and then you don't really necessarily gotta get caught up. But my thought process is the best you can, especially if you're a younger listener listening to this. Don't have your back against the wall. Your body has a genetic memory. So the sooner and younger or more consistently you take care of yourself, even when you fall out of shape, it's easier to get back in. But it's never too late to set that memory. So the best time to start was yesterday. The only time you can start though is now. So just embrace it and do the best that you can. Learn a little bit every day and apply it.
Love that. Okay, it is time for our Ask Me Anything segment with our audience. I have our questions here.
Love it.
Question 1. I try to eat pretty healthy. Banana and granola for breakfast, a salad with protein for lunch. But every afternoon around 2:30 or 3, I seriously crave a sweet treat. What's causing that and how can I stop it?
Yeah, I mean, for this one, it's always tough to say just like causal relationships, but it's probably a kind of a blood sugar response, right? It's like probably in the morning you might want to have not a banana and granola, but something that might either have a little bit more sustaining fats or protein in it. Probably help sustain just even blood sugar a little bit more. Lunch sounds fine. And then maybe go for a 5 to 10 minute walk after or before lunch to help stabilize that blood sugar even more. And it might reduce kind of that craving for a sweet treat as it relates to that. So that would be my suggestion based off that.
My next question, I'm trying to get into meal prepping, but by the third day, I'm so over eating the same thing. Any tips for making meal prep more exciting and keeping the taste and texture fresh?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that are chefs, and there's a French term for this called mise en something. I don't remember, but it's basically you don't actually cook the food, you just prep the ingredients. So there's certain, like if you're able to prep stocks, or you're able to prep kind of the garlic and onions you need to put in, or prep those simple things that help make the start of cooking the meal easier. Do that. So for me, that I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't want to do the bodybuilding meal prep style, which is eating the same thing 5 days in a row. So simply what I'll do is like, all right, I know if I do like rice or sweet potatoes, that type of thing, that already be prepared and I'll have that. But then I'll have these quick marinades that I can either put on fish, or easy way to make, the curries and that type of thing. So it's prep the little ingredients that might take a lot of time beforehand, and then know how to easily grab those out of the pantry or the fridge to make the full meal.
Yes. I'm all for doing something like a pulled chicken in a beautiful marinade that you can do so easily, again, with simple ingredients. And then you can add that same chicken to a burrito.
Exactly.
You can put it on top of a salad.
Yep.
You can add it to a bowl. You can put it in a sandwich, and you've got your protein covered by just kind of prepping one pot.
Yes, that's great. And also up your spice rack.
The spice rack.
Like, come on.
Yes.
Fresh
Bring
herbs,
some
spices,
flavor in there.
you know?
So
It's
good.
the West Indian in me.
Okay, last question. How do I make a healthier choice when everyone around me at work is heading to fun or fast food spot for lunch? It sounds good. I want to join in, but I also don't want to eat something there.
The question becomes, are there times where it might be beneficial for you to do that to create a better community in the office? And then if so, there's probably something on that menu for you that you could do or eat in a limited amount. So that thought process is, if everybody's getting it from there, whether it's, well, I don't know, a sandwich or something, take one of the buns off or whatever, or both, or just, have a smaller portion of it. Or if again, that's why I say always take a side of vegetables with you to the office, then it's fine. It's like, instead of getting the French fries, just get the sandwich, have it with the side salad or vegetables, that type of thing. And then, of course, it's doing it in moderation.
I love that. I feel that your approach to nourishment and nutrition is just that, so approachable, which is key for any of this stuff. We have to be able to start making these small movements and changes. I'm going to highlight 3 key things that you said. One is prepping your food a little bit more at home, picking beautiful whole ingredients, and then giving yourself some flexibility in the process so that you can actually create this into a lifestyle versus it being something that you just do for a few weeks and then revert back to old behaviors.
Because it's going to have to change too, especially as you age. Like, as I get older, I don't really eat meat now.
Yes.
But will I have to as I'm older? Maybe, like, protein synthesis in the body changes a little bit.
Yeah.
Will I have food sensitivity issues that might come up? I have a family history of colon cancer. I have to take certain things into regard with that. And then just as the lifestyle changes. So if you think about frameworks and then how you can apply that into different contexts, especially as it relates to food, I think it becomes easier as you start to age, instead of it being so rigid that you either get caught up in your own head or you never try at all.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And we hope that you share this episode with anybody that you feel it may help.
It's worth it. Thanks for having me.
Through November 30th, 2025, earn an entry for a chance to win $5,000 in the CareCredit Let's Get Digital sweepstakes. Enter the secret word DIET in the sweepstakes hub to earn 1 entry now. Head over to the sweepstakes hub by simply visiting carecredit.com/Let's Get Digital. No purchase necessary. A purchase will not increase your chances of winning. Legal residents of the 50 United States, D.C., and U.S. territories 18 years of age or older who have a CareCredit credit card as of 9/2/2025. Void where prohibited. Promotion starts 10/8/2025 and ends 11/30/2025. Grand prize and weekly prizes are awarded in the form of a check. For official rules, including odds, free method of entry, and prize descriptions, visit carecredit.com/Let's Get Digital. Sponsor Synchrony Bank, 170 Election Road, Draper, Utah, 84020.
Hey there, don't leave yet. Just wanted to say, if you want to hear more about health and wellness, check out these episodes of Care Experts. Also, before you go, make sure you like and subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday.